I'm just trying to make. I'm just
Yes,
trying to let
very
y'all get
hard.
hurt from y'all hitting each other.
No.
I don't want y'all both to get hurt. That's what I was going to say.
Oh, well then cool. Okay.
Jackson, you could just
No, my God.
get back moving. I can't take it. Derek, can I have my come back? I did, but he wouldn't let me have my You said it's your turn to have it right now.
Every now and then, Bungie does something totally unexpected. And sometimes they change the sandbox, you know, sometimes for the bad, for the worse, like I'm looking at you, Telesto, and sometimes it's for the better, like what they did with the 120 hand cannons. And basically, they got a slight range reduction, a small nerf, that basically halved the buff that they got back in Beyond Light whenever it came out, which is what made them so dominant. And basically, what this little nerf has done is it's given other hand cannons and some other weapon archetypes some room to shine. And most notably, right now, I'm gonna suggest that maybe this gave 180 hand cannons some room to shine. Everybody thought that Palindrome and 140 adaptive frames were going to be lit this season, myself included. For example, I love my Adept Palindrome that I got last season. You guys know that. I've made multiple videos on it. I love my Palindrome. I am super shocked and super surprised to tell you that a 180 hand cannon has risen from the ranks to become possibly meta, maybe? What we're looking at today is the Survivor's Epitaph, and mind you, this is a gun that everyone thought was going to be a Duke replacement. And whenever it was announced in the TWAB, there were some images that were revealed, and it looked kind of like the Duke. But everyone was kind of upset about that because they're like, another 120 hand cannon. We don't need another 120 hand cannon. Well, some other content creators suggested that it's actually not a 120. They said that if it's anything, it might be an adaptive frame or something like that. There were there's a blue hand cannon that looks identical to it. And well, what we ended up getting was this Survivor's Epitaph, which is a 180 precision frame hand cannon, and it's actually really good. You see in the gameplay here, it's so precise, which, is to be expected from a precision frame. But I'm here today to make a comparison that I don't think anyone else has done yet, not in the content creator verse. But I'm actually going to compare this to the Not Forgotten. Maybe the Luna's Howl, but I think Not Forgotten because I think that's what it looks more like, and I think it even sounds identical to. Whenever Not Forgotten and Luna's Howl came out, for those of you that aren't in the know, they were actually precision frame 180 hand cannons. Now, they did something very interesting. They were too good. They were too powerful at the time, so they got a nerf. And it was a very interesting nerf because while they retained their so-called precision frame, they were made 140 hand cannons. Now, of course, 140 is your adaptive frames. That's where hand cannons like the Palindrome, the Dire Promise come in, even, Ace of Spades. It was really interesting what they did, and it wasn't a bad thing. It brought them down. They were still very useful, still very good. Magnificent Howl being one of the best traits in the game. But I think that what they're doing with these Survivor's Epitaph, is I think they're attempting to kind of clone the Not Forgotten without cloning the Not Forgotten. So basically, this is a precision frame. Like I said, it's very precise. You can see it in the gameplay. It's very stable. And being a precision frame, another great benefit to it is it's also got excellent in-air accuracy. And I think maxed out in-air accuracy. So you don't need Icarus grip with this. You just use regular whatever. I'm actually pairing it with backup mag because of the fact that it increases the magazine, makes it a 16. But if we look at it alongside Not Forgotten, you see that the pattern is very similar. The sound is almost identical, and it really, to me, I think it looks kind of similar too. I'll let you be the judge of that, but of course, you know, we don't have Magnificent Howl to, you know, compare it to. That's just such an excellent perk. But in general, by itself, it's really, really good. And to look at the stats here, this has an impact of 78, a range of 52, a stability of 69, handling of 41, with a reload speed of 51. It's got a 14 zoom with an aim assistance of 74 and a recoil direction of 93. I mean, on paper, it's like this is, you know, it's just kind of meh, but my god, it's pretty good. And don't get me wrong, I've got a very interesting roll here. The roll that I'm using, I'm choosing to use small bore, high caliber rounds, surplus, and moving target. And this has a stability masterwork. Now, I think I would have preferred a range masterwork. I think that a little bit more range would have been more beneficial to it. And for those of you that used Not Forgotten, Luna's Howl was the weapon you had to use to get Not Forgotten, and it was very similar. In fact, basically a carbon copy of Not Forgotten, but it was all about the stability instead of the range. And just in general, it was not as good as Not Forgotten. I think that NF for a long time was the absolute king of hand cannons. And I think that Bungie's done something very interesting here to bring this up to make it very similar. And I don't know, I feel like there's a good possibility that this could be meta. Now, I do like to use my abilities, but with surplus, if you have these abilities charged, this is super good. It's super snappy. The reload speed is great. The handling is great. Stability is great. There's just not enough I can say about it. And then moving target, that adds a small flat buff to your target acquisition while giving you better target acquisition when moving and aiming. So I think in general, this is just really good. And does this mean I'm going to use it in trials? I don't know. I think it's so far been really good to use in just regular control, or even potentially, you know, elimination or something. I'm going to play around with it some more. But I don't know, guys. I'm really happy. I'm really excited. This is a pretty good hand cannon. And there's just not really been a whole lot of great hand cannons that have kind of broke the mold. I mean, again, 120s were it for a long time, and it's nice to have something, I don't know, a little different. So that's going to wrap up this video. As a little side note, if you want this to look as similar to Not Forgotten as possible, I found that the Carbon Blood shader does that job pretty well. Looks pretty damned good, if I do say so myself. But there again, guys, that's it for the video. I appreciate you guys for checking it out. As always, like and subscribe, and as always, Godspeed, my friends.